Good evening, church family. As you've seen from my Facebook post and in the news, the veto override session was voted in, and we should not discount that at all as an answer to prayer. Historically in Louisiana, there have only been 3 override sessions since 1974, and only one of them has worked, and that was last year when the legislature was voting to override with some congressional district remapping. So really and truly an answer to prayer, and what we want to continue to do is to pray and to act and to trust the Lord in that order. We want to pray now that we have the session that both in the House and the Senate there will be enough votes to override the governor's vetoes for all 3 of these bills. And it's going to be quite a historic day down at the Capitol. I plan to be there. Noon is when the session will begin. If you would like to join me, I'll be there at the front steps of the Capitol. I'll try to get in. Supposedly we can get in. I don't know how all of that works. I've never done this before. So we'll just have to kind of try to figure it out when we get down there. If you're able, that's going to be Tuesday, July 18th. At noon. I'll probably try to get there around 11:30 or so. Also want to remind you that tomorrow, Sunday school at 9:45, we continue with Dr. Steve Lawson and our verse-by-verse study of Romans. 10:45, our worship service. I went to the Wayback Machine in John this week, not so much because it was so hectic, but there has been such thick material this week in the beginning of the first 7 verses of Colossians. I needed some extra time to kind of condense all of that. And so I pulled one out from John, just continuing in John. We studied the first 5 verses of John week before last, or maybe it was last week. I don't remember. But we looked in those verses and we saw where Jesus is listed as the Word and the life and the light. In those first 5 verses, we looked at him as the Word and the life. And then tomorrow, we're going to look at him as the light and what that means in verses 6 to 13. We'll be looking at tomorrow. And then we'll get back to Colossians, actually making it to chapter 2, if you can believe that. Lord willing, for next Sunday. I also want to mention, if you've noticed on our Facebook group page, we've been busy really focusing in on inviting people to the group, and then when they join, we send a little welcome to the group, and we've gotten some good reaction from that. And so I want to encourage you to invite people to our Facebook group. You just never know when somebody sees something come up on one of our posts, how it's going to affect them. They may share it. It may go out to somebody else who sees one of our posts from our Facebook and says, hey, I might like to take a look at that church. So invite people to our Facebook group. Also, as I spoke about before, if you don't have the notifications set on your Facebook that alerts you to whenever we post, please do that. Chrissy and I have been trying to touch the page at least once a day if we can. Social media, as I've said before, is a place where we have to interact with people. That's just the age that we live in as the church, as we just try to continue to do everything that we can in order to grow our church. And so you be on the lookout for that. Invite people to our group. And tomorrow is the Lord's Day. And I look very forward to being with you. God bless and have a good Saturday evening.